can you ride every single roller coaster in a country in just one day? To date, I've ridden over 1,250 roller coasters around the world, but I'd never completed every coaster in a country before. Doing that in just one day would not be easy. The country I've chosen to do this challenge in is Slovenia, and it was going to be quite the epic trip. Starting out in Tarvisio, Italy, my route would cross the Julian Alps and continue on to the PohorJET Massive, visiting 4 different locations where there were roller coasters. I'd then finish the day in Graz, Austria, having driven over 200 miles. That was, of course, if everything went to plan, and, well, let's just say it didn't. Was I able to complete the challenge? Keep watching to find out. I don't know if this is going to be possible, but I'm going to try it. Here's everything I know about Slovenia. It's got 4 roller coasters in it. You have to buy a vignette to drive on its motorways. And that's pretty much it. I was planning this trip last night, and I didn't actually know which currency they use there. The prices for the roller coasters were listed just as 19, and I was like, 19 what? 19 francs? Pounds? Euros? Turns out it's euros. The biggest question is right at the start. The first roller coaster, I'm not sure if it's going to be open or not. Google kind of was a bit vague about it, especially about the opening times and whether it was even open at all. After that, all the roller coasters I'm planning on doing should be open, touch wood, and they should all open by 11 o'clock. Can I make it to them all in time? I'm up for the challenge though, so fingers crossed. Let's go and ride every roller coaster in Slovenia in just one day. The scenery throughout the day was stunning, and soon I was crossing the border into Slovenia. After a short drive, I arrived at the first coaster. Now I was starting out big with the longest roller coaster in Slovenia, Besna Pehta, named after an evil witch from Slovenian folklore. The start of this coaster is located in the village of Kranjska Gora, which is surrounded by some absolutely stunning mountains, and to get to the top you have to take a chairlift. This coaster has nearly a mile of downhill track and a top speed of 40 km an hour. Most impressively of all, however, it's got an elevation change of 293 metres. That's more than the height of Fury 325, Steel Dragon 2000 and Millennium Force combined. My biggest fear was that this roller coaster, the first one, would not be open, as Google seemed to imply that it wouldn't be, but they told me at the front it's open, so I'm on the chairlift to go and ride it. This first one is a single rail coaster, which are always quite good fun. So the challenge is on. Let's try and ride every roller coaster in Slovenia in one day. The good thing about it being early and very quiet is that I should hopefully get a clean run without any traffic on the coaster. One of the most frustrating things when riding an Alpine coaster is when you run into traffic, as that can really spoil your run. Fortunately, the track looked clear today, so I scanned my pass, braving a rather scary wasp that was guarding the machine, and took my seat on my first ever Slovenian roller coaster. Might not actually seem like I'm going that fast, but I've got a very high center of gravity on these. I know what's keeping you in. There's a very small seatbelt and no back support. This thing goes pretty fast. Jeez. Most of these have some sort of speed limiter. I don't think this one does. Oh. So the only speed limiter is how brave you're feeling. And I've still got a few other ones to ride in Slovenia. There's a thin line between bravery and stupidity. And that line is breaking for this corner. couple of jumps, but plenty of riskiness. Takes a lot less time to go down than it does to go up. So that was my first ever Slovenian roller coaster, and the challenge is on. I was really worried that this one wasn't going to be open, but it was, and I rode it, and now there's just 3 more to go. Success! So I've now done my first ever Slovenian roller coaster. It was good fun. It felt a little bit unstable. I was securely tied in with the seatbelt, but there's nothing really supporting your upper body or back on those ones. So they do feel a little bit more risky, especially if you've got a bit of a high centre of gravity. Honestly, I think the particular buggies on that one are designed for people maybe slightly smaller than me, maybe for children. But I guess they've got to accommodate a large variety of people. But yes, that was my first ever Slovenian roller coaster. And the next one was going to be rather special. It was located on a hill overlooking the absolutely stunning Lake Bled. This is one of the most iconic tourist destinations in all of Slovenia, although before arriving I had no idea about it, as all I knew was that there was a 1,700 foot long Alpine coaster that I wanted to ride there. This was slightly less impressive in terms of statistics than the first one, but it was still a decent size. It had an elevation change of 131 metres, which is actually slightly taller than Top Thrill 2. So onwards to the second Alpine coaster of the day. This one is another single rail. I've seen most people going down it actually quite fast, so hopefully, even though there does seem to be a bit of traffic, I'll still get to go down quickly. There's of course the occasional slow person. Looking behind though, the scenery does look pretty impressive. You should get a nice view from the top here. It seems like quite a touristy place. There's lots of people actually speaking English here, which I wasn't expecting. So maybe this is a popular tourist destination. Just most people probably don't drive from the UK to get here. The view from the top really was spectacular, but the popularity of the area meant that there was a bit of a queue before I could ride. With the limited time I had today, that wasn't ideal, but I could hardly complain when I had this absolutely stunning vista to admire whilst I waited. Okay, thank you. Again, this is one which isn't super stable, which means you do kind of have to brake the corners. Although you hear that noise, I think that's the speed limiter. I think it's mer time here. Woo-hoo. Backy's up a little bit. I think that ticking sound is like a kind of speed limiter. The stuff you're going insanely fast, like over this jump. Woo! With another coaster ticked off, it was time to return to my car and head onwards, but there was a minor issue I had to deal with first. One slightly annoying thing can be parking. One problem you may not have thought about when driving your own car abroad is the difficulty in exiting car parks, as they are never designed with right-hand drive cars in mind. I did come up with an ingenious solution to this problem, but sadly some machines still require a little more finesse to use. Always kind of worried the barrier's going to come down before I get out. So that is coaster number 2 done. We're halfway there to completing the challenge of the day. We now however have a bit of a race against time, because whilst these last 2 coasters have been quite close together, which is handy, the next 2 are further away. This drive...
Turn left towards the Lesko Cesta, then turn right onto the Lesko Cesta.
According to SatNav, is going to be 2 hours and 9 minutes. I was semi-tempted to take a slightly different route, which would take me through on more mountain roads, but the difference in time was a bit too much, as that would have been an extra hour's drive. And I think this one I'm doing is probably long enough. Soon enough, I was on the open road and making pretty good time. Now, while most people who would ever consider doing this kind of trip are probably crazy to start with, mine's a little bit more crazy because I've ended up taking my own car from the UK to this country. It would probably make more sense if you're planning on doing this challenge yourself to rent a car here, but you probably wouldn't get a nice convertible and you wouldn't get to drive on these awesome roads with the roof down. And on a beautiful sunny day like today, there's nothing quite like driving this car on these roads, in this country, in this weather. It's beautiful. The speed limit here is a nice, breezy 130 kilometers an hour, which according to my speedo is about 80 miles an hour, so we should be making good time until we get on the twisty mountain roads where you can't really go that fast, but you can have a hell of a lot of fun. One thing you have to be aware of though is going through mountain roads, you never quite know when the next petrol station's going to be. So I'm going to play it on the safe side and get a little bit of petrol here near the capital city of Ljubljana. Right, we're now fully fueled up and ready to head onwards to the third Alpine coaster of the day. Now I can see you again when we are in the mountains. Shortly into this leg of the journey, it looked like there was heavy traffic ahead on the motorway, so I followed SatNav's advice and exited it onto some much quieter country roads. This was a beautiful part of the country, and I relished the chance to see some more of it. One thing that I find great about this sort of adventure is that because you're going to these Alpine coasters in kind of unusual places, you end up often on some really interesting back roads that can make for really engaging and fun drives. Because you've got a reason to go to these slightly unusual places, the route is always filled with adventure, which I love. It's weird to think that if I didn't have this crazy hobby of travelling the world riding roller coasters, there's no way I would be here in the back of Beyond in Slovenia, driving past noisy tractors, driving on some fun twisty roads through beautiful scenery, and nothing but the sound of birdsong, my engine, and the wind, and occasionally SatNav. But yeah, this is amazing. I love this hobby. It looked like nothing could get in the way of me completing this challenge, but that was until I tried to rejoin the motorway, and I discovered that my route onto it was completely blocked. So there may be a slight problem with me getting these coasters done. Traffic and roadworks are something you can't really predict, and Google Maps doesn't always do the best job of it. Unfortunately, my turn off to the right, some 5 minutes or so back, was closed, which Google didn't realise. So I think I'm going to have to do a U-turn and end up in this massive queue of traffic in the opposite direction, which isn't good. The only route available was to rejoin the motorway going in the opposite direction, heading back towards Ljubljana. Yeah, this traffic doesn't look good. Maybe there's an alternate route. Right now I'm going in the wrong direction. In desperation, I tried taking the next turn-off, but this only led to a service station, and SatNav would only seem to give me route options that went via closed roads or junctions. Didn't actually mean to start recording then, but seeing as now we are. Yeah, this is a bit f***ed up there. So SatNav has not been behaving itself, and there must have been some sort of road incident because my ETA has gone up by over an hour now, which isn't good, especially when you're racing against the clock to doing lots of Alpine coasters. But
We found a faster route which saves 25 minutes. In 3 kilometers. Take the exit on the right.
As you might have just heard, SatNav seems to think it's found a faster route. I am not convinced, as, yeah, SatNav so far that's made me go in the wrong direction. As I said, I'm heading back to Ljubljana. I'm not sure if this challenge is doable anymore. I'm going to give it my best still. We are at least now, hopefully, heading in the general correct direction for where I want to go. But I don't trust that ETA that it's giving me, and it's still later than I'd hoped for.
In 300 meters, turn left onto the slip road to Maribor, Serbia.
Yeah, the ETA given by SatNav is just swinging wildly back and forth between about 2 hours and an hour and a half, so I don't know how long it's going to take there. Probably guessing it's going to be 2 hours, which should get me there about 3:15. I think it could still be doable if the rest of traffic isn't too bad, but that's a big if. Fingers crossed. After a further long wait in traffic, I eventually made it back to the original junction where I tried to rejoin the motorway. This time I was making progress in the right direction, but it was very slow progress. So unfortunately I reckon there's essentially a motorway's worth of traffic going down a single lane road, which doesn't really work all that well, which is why I think that's why my ETA has gone so bad. Google still seemed to think that a closed road was open, which is annoying, but I think I am at least going in the right direction now. It's going to take longer, but it might still just be doable. Hopefully. Eventually I made it back onto the motorway and tried to make up for some of the lost time. The race was really on to reach the final 2 coasters, but I was determined to make it. The roads were great quality, although part of the way through the journey I realised I had an unexpected hitchhiker. I'm not entirely sure when this intrepid insect jumped on board, but despite travelling at the speed limit on these roads, it managed to keep riding for a surprising number of miles, all the way until I reached the next coaster. This little insect was as determined to stay on my car as I was to complete my challenge, a determination all the more impressive when you consider the fates of so many of its brethren over the course of about 2,000 miles of driving. Waving goodbye to my new friend, it was time to ride the next coaster, Adrenalinsko sankališče Zlodejevo. This was another impressively long coaster, with over 4,000 feet of track, and unlike the previous coasters, this one had 2 rails, which meant it was much more stable, and I intended to complete the run without using the brakes at all. Here we go. 3rd coaster of the day. Starting out with some bounces. Boing, 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 boing. Now this kind of coaster, is different to the single rail ones. Boing, 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 boing. Because you don't need to brake so much in these. Yeah. And you can get some pretty strong laterals. And generally they feel a lot more stable than the single rail ones, which I feel like I could fall off at any minute. This, on the other hand, we're good to go fast. I don't know what Zavriat means, so I'm going to ignore it. I think it means go fast. Over the jumps. Woo! Yeah! Boing! Whoa! Some proper airtime then. Yeah! Boing! Boing! Woo! Boing! I think I might be coming up to some traffic, unfortunately. Boing! I'll see though. Hopefully the people in front will keep going fast. But I think I see it. We're catching up on them, unfortunately. Yeah. Boing, boing. Oh! Just managed a clean run. Nice. Netflix.
It worked.
That was good. I like that one. There was some proper good going airtime then. Yeah, it's unlike most Alpine coasters, this one ends with the lift hill. At least I assume it does. I don't think there's anything extra at the end. Who knows? Might be in for a surprise. That was really good fun. I actually got some proper out-of-seat airtime going over some of those jumps. And the time now is just after 3 o'clock. Hopefully there'll be time to get the other one. I'm not 100% sure how far away from here it is. It doesn't look that far on the map. With twisty alpine roads, you never really know. Now for filming this, I used to film these ones with a wrist mount as well, by holding onto this bit while riding. But I found that on longer ones I could really mess up your back with how you're leaning. So we have the chest mount. Which also makes it easier because you can use both hands on the brakes, and by pressing on one and pulling on the other you can help brace yourself going around the corners. Instead of just trying to do that one-handed, which is trickier. Eventually I reached the top, but sadly there was no extra downhill track, so I headed back to my car, where sadly my grasshopper friend had left me, so I continued onwards solo. Right, onwards to the fourth and final roller coaster in all of Slovenia. Hopefully. It should be about an hour to get there, according to SatNav, but we know how reliable SatNav has been on this trip so far. Two options. One looked like it was going to take like a motorway. Other option was twisty mountain roads, so you can guess which one I chose. Twisty mountain roads was actually slightly faster, so there's that as well. Right, let's get going. The drive to the final roller coaster looked like it would be fun, but things once again didn't quite go to plan. One thing I've noticed in Slovenia is you do get quite a few twatty drivers. Often you get sort of really badly tailgated, or just do stupid overtaking them.
Turn left to stay on Lukandra.
Hey, you saved so much time, didn't you? Well done. After surviving that pointlessly reckless overtaking manoeuvre, the road unexpectedly changed, and it changed to dirt. This road surface was not what I was expecting, and I had no idea how long it would last, or if it would get any worse. One thing I really like about this car is that you've got a really good feel for what it's doing. The feedback you get from the wheel, from your backside, and from everything else just lets you know exactly what all the wheels of the car are doing. And at the moment, that feedback is telling me that there is not a lot of grip here at the moment, and the roads are quite twisty and steep. So you have to take it kind of gently, but it gives you a chance to enjoy nature from the inside of a car, but with the roof open, so there is that. I'm not entirely sure how much longer this rough road is going to be going on for. Google Maps says it's 8.7 kilometres till the next turning, which is quite a long distance on this sort of road, if it's even a road. The dirt track continued through the forest, and I was worried that it may turn into the sort of road that would be impossible for me to drive on. On previous trips, I'd run into trouble where Google Maps had tried to take me on an unexpected off-road adventure, and my car is not an off-road vehicle. It was a real worry that at any point the road would become only suitable for four-wheel drive vehicles. Thankfully, after a worrying amount of time, the dirt track changed into reassuring asphalt. Aha! It's an actual road! You'd have thought I'd be so happy to see that, and look at that scenery. Isn't tarmac so much nicer to drive on? And now there's 2 lanes! Wow! It's like I'm in civilization again. I have made it onto tarmac. That is a big relief. There's always a worry when you're doing these places that are not in all that easy to get to areas, that you might end up in a crazy road that eventually stops becoming a road and starts becoming a dirt track. And this car is many things, but an off-road car it is not. So it's nice to be back on proper tarmac. The rest of the drive was clear sailing through the beautiful PohorJET mountains, and in no time at all, I was pulling up to the location of the final roller coaster in Slovenia. This was PohorJET, a final single rail coaster with over 3,000 feet of track. This coaster looked out over the city of Maribor, the second largest city in Slovenia, and one that I'd only heard of before as a stamina potion in The Witcher 3. It was nonetheless impressive, however, and with the clock continually ticking down till closing time, I bought my ticket and jumped on the chairlift to the top. Getting to the top did take some time though, as this one has an elevation change of about 240 metres, which is more than Hyperia, Shambhala and Hyperion combined. Well, looks like I'm gonna make it. I've made it here in time for this fourth and final roller coaster in Slovenia, and barring any unusual mishaps, I'm going to ride it down and I will have completed my challenge of riding every single roller coaster in the country of Slovenia in just one day. Unfortunately, the people I've seen going down are going very, very slowly, so this may not be the most thrilling ride if I get caught in traffic. Take a look. The view from the top was great, and after taking a little time to appreciate the scenery, I jumped on board my final roller coaster of Slovenia. Here we go. The final roller coaster in Slovenia. That's quite steep. I'm not all that stable. Needing a little bit of break there. Yeah, this one doesn't feel all that good. Oh! That's why I am using a bit of brake. But I don't want to die. You can kind of hear the speed limiter on this one. Yeah, I reckon I got a thin line between vectors of whether you use the brake on this one or not. I don't mind getting a little bit of airtime, but the brakes aren't very good on this. Acceleration's good. And we are coming into traffic. Well, I did the extra. And I've not slowed down that much. Woo! Yeah, not too much you can do about slow people. But I've had fun. It's been quite an awesome challenge. Woohoo! Well, I went to brake that fast. And across the finishing line, finishing every roller coaster in Slovenia in one day. Not too bad. Well, I did it. Every roller coaster in Slovenia in just one day. It's possible, it's doable, and I did it. It's been a pretty epic day from the start, not being sure whether I'd even manage it with the first coaster being open or not, through the crazy dirt roads, through the mountains and everything else. It's been an epic day. So how do you celebrate riding every roller coaster in a country? Well, I think I'm going to go get a beer over there. And I think it was a very well-earned beer. I'd driven over 200 miles through a country I'd never been to before. I'd travelled over 2.5 miles on a roller coaster track alone, and I'd completed every roller coaster in the country for the first time ever for me. And it had been a great day. So that just about brings today's journey to an end. So what's next? Well, despite driving through a lot of Slovenia today, I'm not actually spending the night here. I started the day in Italy and I'm going to be finishing in Austria. My hotel for the night is in Graz, And tomorrow I've got more Alpine Coasters planned, but this time in Austria. It's been an epic day though, an epic journey, so thanks for watching. I've had a great time, and this is the first time I've ever completed every roller coaster in one country. So I guess all that's left to say is, I've been Roller Coaster David, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again in another video very soon. See ya.